Hi there, this is Susanna. Welcome to The Real You. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Now this short video is on how to best deal with your kids being at home during this period of confinement. I was part yesterday of a video conference with a group of NLP practitioners and master practitioners, particularly on this subject and how to approach this isolation. And one of the questions we discussed was on how to best deal with the kids being at home. And I personally brought up a few points on this subject, and I would like to share some of these with you here in this short video so that you can have a few practical tools on how to best help your children go through this, and yourself, of course. And one of the points that I brought up during this conversation yesterday was that it is important to really talk to them about what's going on. That these are interesting times, and yes, there are special measures that are required because of these special times that we're going through, and that we have to behave differently for a while, but that it is also an interesting moment, that we should remain curious about what's going to happen. And as I was saying in the conference earlier, it is now the time to transmit your children what matters, your values. And for that, you need to have clarity what these values are to you. And ask yourself, of course, this question: what is important and valuable to me now? Interestingly enough, it is when times are tough that what is really valuable and the human nature can really surface, isn't it? This is a moment when the only aspect that you do have control over is your mind and your body, and of course your feelings. And the only thing that will actually make you feel good, and please listen to this carefully, the only thing that will make you feel good about this, no matter what happens, is in how you have responded to this. It's not in the outcome. It is not how it's going to end, but on how you have been within yourself and with your children. Now, what is important to you in the moment, right now, is what type of person you want to be. What values would you like to express and transmit to your children right now so they are better prepared for life? It is important to teach your children, especially now that life can bring situations like this, that things like this do happen. You can tell your children that things happen in life, but what matters is that we're dealing with them with dignity, with courage, with faith, with compassion. This is the moment when you can talk to your children about what's happening and actually bring forth the values that really matter to you. A second point would be to help your children become responsible. For instance, once you describe what's happening, giving the fact that these are special times, you can mention that they require special measures and strategies. And you can mention to your children that they play an important role, and that we're going through this together, that we support each other, that we are a team, and each of us in the family now has an important and plays an important role. And you can assign them a special role, and it really has to sound like it's important. Even to the little ones, they could be responsible for setting the table. For instance, my daughter has become the coach for us. She's the one who's responsible with the sport, physical activities, and she's the one who decides what we do, for how long, and at what time. And it's working quite well. Thirdly, for a better communication, create rapport with them. If you don't know what that is, using matching and mirroring. Sit a little bit like they sit. Talk a little bit like they talk. If they sit, sit. If they stand up, stand up. Mirror their position. Reformulate what they say. And also use suggestions or hypnotic speech, giving the kids suggestions on what they want to do rather than orders or commands that they have to obey. Make them believe that they really want to do what you are asking them to do. For instance, I know you want to do this. You probably are aware how important this is. It is good to study hard. It is good to be courageous. It is important to learn. You know exactly what you need to do. You might want to do your homework now. Perhaps you're already thinking of doing your homework now. Wouldn't it be awesome that you did your homework now? And questions such as, aren't you, wouldn't you, will you, would you, isn't it? And so on and so forth. Another important point as well is that children are still depending on us. Please keep that in mind. Don't let them decide on everything. Children learn more from example than from what you tell them to do. So if you yourself are worried and in panic and anxious, and you're asking them to stay cool and calm, then you're not coherent in your message. They will always follow your example. Maybe not now, but later they will. You set the example, you set the routine. You decide what is important that we stick to. What time we eat, the homework that needs to be done, the activities that need to be done, what time we go to bed, for instance. You decide on the routine and stick to it. It is important for children. Even if they refuse to do it, even they try to protest against it, you do it. For instance, you decided at 12 we eat, at 8 p.m. we see a movie, at 10 p.m. we go to bed. It is good to give the child a structure because the mind needs a structure. Without that, it goes all over the place and it starts thinking nonsense thoughts, giving feelings of anxiety. The most direct and simple way to keep down the anxiety is by keeping the mind busy. Anxiety is created by pondering on thoughts that are bringing forth negative scenarios. And one of the antidotes for anxiety is to do something. For this reason, it is important to create a structure for your child and stick to it no matter how they react to it at the beginning. Another point that I brought to the conversation yesterday was what to do when a child refuses to do something that you ask them to do. What if the child says no? And the best tool, the best way to approach this, especially during these times when you have to be more strategic maybe than normally, is to ask them the following question. Why would you do it? Let's say you suggest your child to do the homework and they say, no, I don't feel for it, I don't want to do it. Then you could ask them, okay, I understand that you don't feel for doing it now, but if you wanted to do it, why would you do it? They might answer, well, because I have to give it in by tomorrow, because I'll feel better about it, I'll feel lighter about it. They might have some answers. They all have their answers. And then you can ask, why else? And then you can also ask them how much they would be willing to do it if they did, on a scale from 0 to 10. And if, for instance, they give you a 2 out of 10, instead of saying, oh my God, this is low, you would actually burst into enthusiasm and say, oh my God, that much? They will be surprised by your answer. And that will make their mind think that actually they want to do their homework. Asking the following questions, why you never do it? Why don't you want to do it? Why do I always have to ask you to do it? Only creates resistance. Now, the last point that I like to bring to your attention in this video, but not the least important, is being in this playfulness and this creativity. Create games, but please not video games, but in the way that you are approaching this situation. Kids are naturally playful and creative and curious, and you can make this look like an adventure that you're all going through. This is something extraordinary, and this is not a lie. It is not an ordinary situation. It is an extraordinary situation. And this is not lying to your children. This is the truth, because in truth is, like you remember, I was saying in the last video, the truth is that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what will be the outcome of this. But that what matters is that we're coming out of this feeling empowered and dignified. You can, for instance, organize a sort of a hierarchy, organization, or a tribe, depending on what you like, what your preferences are, what you believe in, and make name tags and put them on the door, create a chief officer. You can, for boys, you can create a sort of an army, name the general, name the secretary, name the president, and give them specific roles and let them be creative with that. Let them come up with something and let them do it their own way. You can once in a while meet and discuss important measures, important tactics, and let them be creative and come up with solutions and follow that advice, follow that input. And apart from this, really listening to them, listening to their questions, answering their questions as truthfully as you can, infusing these answers with playfulness, with curiosity, with a sense of adventure, with the values that are important to you. Because this is what you really want, isn't it? To bring forth these solid and strong human beings for this new world that is about to emerge. I'm always available for coaching. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions, comments, or suggestions. Please stay safe, stay in the adventure, stay curious, and I'll see you soon.